Hello and good evening this Friday night to another episode of our Epic podcast. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. We're in the company tonight of Celtic favourite Paddy McCourt and just reflecting back over the incredible career Paddy had and what life looks like now for the Derry Pele. Thank you again for joining us over the last 10 days. It's been good just to engage with you all, and the communication, the feedback that we are getting has been certainly very encouraging. So I just want to thank you on that and encourage you tonight to continue to ping as many questions in as you can, and I will endeavour to read out as many of those as I possibly can. Just want to, as always, thank you, our friends in the longest 40 in Edinburgh, who allow the this broadcast to be screened, not only going out to in Scotland, but ultimately here as well in Ireland and the UK. So we just want to thank John and the boys in Scotland for that. I would just like to say as well, guys, as I said, ping your questions in to me. I will do my utmost. Sometimes it's just not always viable to get through them all. We've obviously Paddy on for 45 minutes. And as I say, we will do our utmost and endeavour to get through as many as we can. Paddy will be joining us very soon. And again, thank you very much indeed for the encouragement we have been receiving. Here indeed is the Derry Pele. Paddy McCourt, how are you, pal?
I'm keeping well, Brian. How's things?
Not bad, mate. Not bad. Challenging times, bro. The last few months for us all.
It's been strange. It's very different, and I'm sure there's a lot of people who are struggling in many different ways. You know, mentally, physically, possibly financially. So it's been very difficult for, I would say, everyone in different ways. But you know, I think the general public have been excellent in trying to combat the virus and listening to government guidelines. And of course, not everyone's going to do it, but I think the percentage of people have really tried their utmost to do their best. And you know, hopefully, we're starting to see the benefits of that now in the next few weeks.
No, 100%, Paddy. I think I think hopefully we are starting to maybe get through the worst of it, you know, God willing, and certainly I would take our hat off to obviously the NHS and what they continue to do. How's Laura and the kids? All right, mate?
All good, all good. As I say, look, it's been a strange 7 8 weeks for us and everyone, and trying to just take the positives out of it and enjoy spending time, I suppose, with a family that you don't get to spend in a normal year because obviously everyone's so busy with work and everything else. So no, it's been good in that way, but you know, hopefully we can try and get back to some kind of normality in the near future.
Look, Paddy, it's good, mate, having you on tonight, and I'm really grateful for your time and taking up, you know, giving up time on a Friday night. You know, you're a great guy, mate. Easily one of the most laid back, humblest guys I've been able to meet over the last few years, and many's an event we've been at with you and stuff. And just it's so good to see how the football community just think of you and the memories that you've left for them. But Paddy, would take you back to obviously as a young kid, you go over to Rochdale. You play, close to 80 games for Rochdale. As a young kid, that must have been an incredible ground for you and your football development.
It was incredibly difficult, and I never ever make no bones about that. And I'm sure when anyone moves to England or Scotland or to another country at 16 or 17 if it's university, or you know, I know a lot of young people from Ireland go across to London very young if they're doing a trade or whatever. So it's a difficult thing to leave your family and leave your parents, and I was no different to anyone else. But you know, it's really stood me in good stead for later life, and the experiences that I managed to gather then, I've always been able to look back and lean on them at times when I needed a bit of strength or a bit of advice about something. And you know, it definitely makes you more durable for moving forward.
Yeah, and ultimately, Paddy, at Rochdale, the talent that you have and how you play the game, and almost that freedom just to go on out and play and express, almost something you would see in the street. You know, something maybe we don't see enough of now in the modern game. You come back home, and obviously go to Shamrock Rovers, and obviously eventually we'll get to Derry in a second. Having to come back home, was that something that you used to motivate you to ultimately kick on again in your career, or ultimately, I'm sure it was extremely difficult at that time to effectively come back home?
It was difficult because there's no getting away from the fact that you go through a period of thinking you've failed, because any young footballer who has grown up and they aspire to be a professional footballer, then they get an opportunity to go to England, albeit a small club like Rochdale. It was still an opportunity to use it as a springboard to move forward. And early in my time at Rochdale, that looked like that's what I was going to do. So obviously, when it finishes in a sort of sour note, then you lose your place in the team, and there's a bit of sickness, and eventually it gets to the point where it's probably best for both parties to part ways. There is a period of time where you felt like you failed, but I think once you get over that and you get into an environment where you're back enjoying football, then when I look back now, it was a blessing in disguise for me, and then I used it as fuel or motivation, whatever you want to call it, to really get my act together and improve all aspects of my game. And as I say, the experience that I had set me up much better for when I did go back across at 24.
We'll take this question here, Paddy. Actually, Brendy Headley has texted in, and I guess ultimately it was at your time at Derry that you were christened the Derry Pele. How did you feel about being christened the Derry Pele in that time of your career, Paddy? Did you feel the weight of that, the pressure of that? Because ultimately, from the outside looking in, it seemed you absolutely revelled in it.
I don't know if it was at Derry or was it Celtic. It might have been at Celtic in the early days, but it definitely wasn't a pressure at all. Look, I think I've said this before on record. I think someone just said it as a bit of a joke. The Derry Pele, or I think someone else used to call me the Bogside Baggio. So there was a couple going around, but the Derry Pele
Baggio's better, isn't it?
Well, that seems that gets mentioned the odd time, not as frequent as the Derry Pele, but as I say, the Derry Pele one seemed to stick, and it's used quite a lot now. So certainly didn't feel any pressure. I found it quite funny actually, and it was near a sort of jokey way, and look, that's the way most people take it. So I don't think there was any pressure of having to live up to what Pele done or anything. I think it was just a nickname, the Derry Pele. So no, definitely no pressure from my side.
Yeah. And ultimately, Paddy, at Derry, that's when you started to pull up serious trees. Then what I mean. The level of performances was just ridiculously on it. Consistently, and ultimately what you achieved at Derry, and obviously the accolades that you were receiving. So naturally, it was only a matter of time before other clubs would start coming to the party. You had opportunities to go the other clubs. Being a Celtic fan and knowing how I know the club means to you. When you got word that Celtic were interested, was that always Paddy McCourt's vision? I want to make it. I want to get there. Let's do it.
Without question. I done a podcast last week and was asked a similar question, and my answer was I felt extremely nervous, Brian, for about a 24-hour period, because I was in Birmingham and I'd spoke to another club, and I had to make my way to Glasgow, and then I had to do my medical the next day, so we're in a hotel. And I just remember having this real sense of nervousness that I just was hoping and praying that something didn't go wrong, because yourself, you've seen it in times in football where a last ditch mishap or something showing up in the medical that I wasn't aware of. So I just remember being so nervous and really thinking that please, nothing let get in the way of this now. And thankfully the next 24 hours went really smoothly, and I was delighted to get it all sorted.
Yeah, we'll take this one from Martin McAteer. Thanks for your question tonight, Martin. Evening, Brian and Paddy. Paddy, what Celtic player would you've looked up to as a young lad growing up in Derry?
Hi, Martin. I hope you're well. I actually know Martin. He does a bit of coaching with some young lads from down around Milford, I think. He's a nice fella. Martin, the one for me growing up was probably anyone who grew up sort of late 90s, early 2000s watching Celtic would have been, obvious answer would be Henrik Larsson. He was just an exceptional player. He was the one that, scored mountains of goals, and any young lad at 12, 13, 14, they always seemed to take to the boy who was grabbing the headlines, especially then that, football wasn't as frequently shown on TV, so you might have only seen the Old Firm games or the odd European games. So, no, definitely Henrik Larsson. And I had the privilege of playing alongside him a year and a half ago in the James Milner and Stilian Petrov game for I think it was a cancer charity or something. So that was a special evening.
Yeah, I think you turned it on a wee bit that night, did you not?
I done all right. I was carrying a bit more extra beef than I was the last time I was on the pitch.
Twinkle toast. We'll take this one from John Hickey. By the way, Paddy, can we have a shout out for it's John's birthday today, so I know he'll appreciate a happy birthday, John Hickey there.
Happy birthday, John. Strange, probably the strangest birthday you've had indoors. We not many about, but try and enjoy it the best you can. But
we'll take the question, but just before we get to John's question there, Paddy, obviously, you go to Celtic and you become a Celtic player, and ultimately, it's business for Paddy McCourt. Obviously, in that same Paddy, and we've been at different events back and forth, and obviously being over at Celtic games and just seeing how the fans react to you. One thing that shined out to me, I think we remember last year, I think we were at the Scottish Cup final together, and we got out of the taxi, and and trying to get from the taxi to the entrance of Hampden that day was just nuts with you to try and get you in. It was crazy, but again, a testament to you, what you've left, the memories for Celtic fans and how you played and the goals that you obviously, created and scored. But going on to John's question here, what was your favourite goal you scored for Celtic, Paddy, and how did it feel, when you scored your first goal for the club that you loved?
Well, the first goal I scored was away from home, actually. And that felt amazing. Of course, to score a goal for the club you supported as a boy, and realising that dream was special. But my most favourite goal was my first goal at Celtic Park. It was against Hearts, and that was incredible because there were 60,000 people there. When you're dreaming as a young boy of scoring for Celtic, you don't dream about scoring away from home. If that makes sense. You dream of scoring at Celtic Park in front of 60,000 people, and the sun was splitting the sky. It was just a dream day. And I remember sitting that evening and having this unbelievable sense of pride and having this unbelievable sense of no one can ever take that away from me now. No matter what I do for the rest of my life, I know how it feels to score for Celtic in Celtic Park in front of 60,000 people. And to try and describe the feeling would be impossible. It's only people who have done it that knows how that feels. And I just feel so grateful to be given the opportunity. And as I say, it's an experience that I'll take with me for the rest of my life.
Yeah. And it's a testimony to you, Paddy, how humble you are with that, mate, and fantastic. Gareth Clement, thanks for texting tonight. Paddy, I know it's a team game, but for Paddy McCourt, which game and performance gave you the most personal pride and pleasure playing?
Probably, how's things, Gareth? Probably playing for Derry City in the FA Cup final against St Pat's. We were behind 3 times. We ended up winning 4-3 in extra time, and it was one of them games where it just seemed like it was getting away from me all the time. And I didn't score in the game, but I ended up with 3 assists. And after 120 minutes, you can imagine we were all exhausted. But looking back now, it was probably, in terms of a personal performance, it was probably the one where, when the chips were down and the team were sort of looking at me, they come up with the goods. And that was definitely the one game where I did, and especially in a big occasion like Cup final. The FA Cup final is a massive occasion in Ireland. It still is. You have 36, 37,000 at a game, which obviously blows any other crowd all year out of the water.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think over the last few years, Paddy, we've seen just the improvement in the quality level in the League of Ireland. A lot more clubs went full time, and the investment that's been in the league, and obviously more players coming home from England, Scotland to enhance the quality, which can only be a good thing for the League of Ireland and ultimately the Irish League as well. Obviously your spell at Glenavon there, and the quality in the Irish League too has enhanced massively, which again is good as on a whole for football over here.
It is, and if you look at the Irish League, especially now, the competition between 6 or 7 clubs here. Gareth, who asked the previous question, he's obviously heavily involved. I think he's chairman at Larne.
Yeah, he is,
they've really improved over the last few years, and you've Coleraine now with Oran Kearney back. You've Lumfield with David Healy, who have obviously been about it now for the last 3 or 4 years. You've Glentoran, who had an investor come in and seemed to really try and improve their squad with Mick McDermott and Paul Muller. So, and you've Crusaders who've been champions 3 or 4 times in the last 5 or 6 years as well. So, especially in that league, there's real competition at the top end. And obviously in our league, the League of Ireland, we had a brilliant season last year. We finished 4th place, got to a cup final, and managed to qualify for Europe. But if the truth be told, in our league, Dundalk and Rovers are probably still a good bit ahead of the rest of us, and we're trying hard along with all our clubs to try and bridge that gap a wee bit.
Yeah. John, thanks for your text tonight. Paddy, what was said in the famous huddles at Celtic Park, mate?
Look, all different things, Brian. It was, in my time there, it was predominantly Scott Brown who was a captain, and Scott used it as his last 10, 15 seconds they probably just say what he felt had to be said at that time and try and rally the troops one last time. And, most of it that I can remember revolved around, listen, you need to focus here. Let's never forget what we're representing. And, we have a job to do. And this club does not accept second best. So we have to go out and win every single game.
Yeah. And obviously too, Paddy, in the current regime at Celtic, you've seen they continue just to be getting stronger and stronger. And I know you're still, keep in touch with quite a few of the boys over there. It's certainly over the next few years, it looks as if they continue to be very dominant in Scottish football.
Yeah, look, it's an amazing time to be, I suppose, a Celtic fan or a Celtic player or anything involved with a club. They're 8 in a row at the minute. 9 in a row if this season, if they decide to count this season, treble on route for a quadruple treble. So it's an exceptional time to be a supporter of the club, or, as I say, to be involved at the club at any level. And these are times that should be enjoyed as a Celtic fan, because you should never take these moments for granted, because once they do go, well, that will be. Hopefully, it's not for a long time, but I would be very much surprised if you ever seen such a dominant period from any one team again.
Stephen Rodgers, thanks for your text tonight. Paddy, who apart from yourself do you credit getting your move to your boyhood heroes? Was it the Northern Ireland connection with Lenny?
No, I don't think it was. I think Lenny only became really aware of who he was once he signed for Celtic. I just think it was obviously scouts or someone who was at the games. I know Dermot had a friend who was a big League of Ireland supporter, and I think at one stage he recommended me to Dermot, and I think Dermot then sent a recommendation on to Peter. So I think that had something to do with it, but it was. And I don't think Lenny was much involved in it, to be honest.
Okay. Wayne Lewis, thanks again for texting tonight. Paddy, talk us through that goal against the Faroes at Windsor Park and the 4-0 win. One of George Best would have certainly been proud of. Thank you for your text tonight, Wayne.
Thanks, Wayne. No, look, it was a goal that I enjoyed thoroughly. Obviously, it was a chip with my left foot, which I don't think I'd ever done. I don't think I ever done. It was a brilliant goal, and I think that night we won 4-0 quite easily. I scored 2 that night, but it was an important result after us, because it set us up then with a game against Serbia the next game, and I think if we had won, we would have been in a good place to qualify. I ended up unfortunately getting injured 2 weeks previous playing for Celtic, so I missed the game and we ended up losing. But the goal that night was my first goal for Northern Ireland, so a special feeling, and it just happened to be a nice goal also.
And I know, Paddy, you talked very fondly of the times you pulled the green shirt on for Northern Ireland, and the close knit squad that was they went to the Euros, which sadly, obviously, due to personal reasons, you had to pull out of the squad. But pulling on the Northern Ireland shirt was something that meant so much to you, Paddy, and the nights at Windsor Park, and it's, the freedom that under Michael he gave you to go and play and create.
I loved it. I enjoyed it right from the start. I played under 21s right up. Always treated exceptionally well by the supporters, by the staff, by managers, players, everyone. And I think, to be honest, under Nigel Worthington was probably where I played my most football in terms of starts. Really enjoyed the time under Michael, but if the truth be told, I didn't play a lot. I was always in most of the squads and coming off the bench now and again. But the system and the style Michael had was very much, we're going to contend teams and then we're going to hit them in the break and we're going to play for set plays. And he was just an outstanding manager, and the bond that he was able to create within the squad and get everyone pulling in one direction. Players like myself who weren't playing very, very much, but still loved turning up and loved being away, even if it was 8, 9, 10 days in double headers. And I think that was Michael's biggest success, that he was able to create that camaraderie and give the players a lot of trust, both on and off the pitch, and the players really responded to it.
Yeah, and Paddy, tell me, it's obviously in terms of, the ability that you had, as a player, you could do things with a ball that very few could. The reality of that, at times, was it frustrating, in terms of, for me, the best form of, defence is attack. Was it frustrating for you, knowing what you could do attackingly, but at times, sometimes managers were reluctant of putting you in the 11 because of the defensive side of it? Was that frustrating for you as a player when the amount of ability that you could and ultimately hurt teams with?
Look, it's always frustrating when you don't start. Any footballer will tell you that. International football at times could be especially frustrating because, as I touched on there, sometimes you are away for 10 days, and like I'm sometimes being away for 10 days and not getting any minutes. If you were on the bench and the game was going how Michael seemed they wanted to go, then I wouldn't have got on, or my time to come on was usually when we were chasing the game. So that could be frustrating, but as I said, it was that good around the group, and the sort of camaraderie and the continuity within the squad was so enjoyable that you sort of put that to one side, and you also knew, where I was very aware, that this is never going to last forever. So take this when it comes, because obviously football is a short career, and I finished playing international football at 31, so it was. I enjoyed the most part. As I say, it could be frustrating at times, but the pros definitely outweighed the cons.
Yeah. Before we take Gareth Donaghey's questions tonight, Gareth, thanks for texting in. Going to take this one, Paul Burns, staying at Celtic. Burnsy, how you doing? Hi, Brian, Paddy. Who was the best player that Paddy played with at Celtic, and how difficult was it, Paddy, to adapt to going into that full-time environment from Derry and ultimately going across to Celtic?
The best player, Paul, that I played with at Celtic, and he was only there for 5 months, but the imprint they left in 5 months was unbelievable. It was Robbie Keane. He joined in middle of January, and obviously the season finished start of May, but he scored something like 20 or 21 goals, and he really was just a level above. His movement, his finishing, his play. He was always 2 steps ahead of everyone in his head, and it was just really, when I stood back and went, wow, this boy is special. And you only have to look at his goals return in the Premier League and his goals return for the Republic of Ireland to see that. The other part of your question, was it difficult? I found it difficult, definitely, because before I signed for Celtic, I'd been out for maybe 8 to 10 weeks with an injury, and by the time I came, I was already playing catch up, and it probably took me a full year before I actually felt that I was now ready to challenge for a first team place.
Yeah, Gareth, we'll take your question now. Paddy, who's the best player to play with Derry City apart from yourself? Thank you, Gareth.
The best player to play for Derry City, probably even including myself, was Liam Coyle. A guy Gareth Clements will know well from his time at Glentoran. He was an exceptional player. He had a bad injury at 18 or 19 that nearly cost him his career, and it definitely cost him a move to a club in England at the time. I'm pretty sure it was Nottingham Forest. Liam spent, I think, about a year, 18 months out of the game. Came back, signed for Roma Town, and then, probably against doctor's orders, came back and then signed for Derry, and had a wonderful career in Ireland. Never got to showcase his talent in England or Scotland, but without a shadow of a doubt, he's the best player I've ever seen play for Derry.
Thank you, Gareth, for that. We'll take this one. Gavin Truesdale has texted in tonight. Paddy, obviously, you come back and obviously you had a spell with Glenavon. What happened that never really clicked at Glenavon, Paddy? Was a massive signing for us at that time. Yes, so Gavin, thank you for that.
Thanks, Gavin. Glenavon is probably one of the biggest regrets that I have in my career, and it was just all wrong from the beginning. I hadn't played in 5 months. Obviously, my wife was going through a tough time at that time, and I rushed into the signing. To be honest, Brian, I took the easy option because I'd known Gary for a while, and Gary had told me, listen, you only have to train one night a week, and just do the business on a Saturday. And as I say, I took the easy option, and I thought, that'll be handy. I'm moving back home, and it'll give me plenty of time. And it was never going to work because I needed to train 4 days a week, never mind one. And mentally and physically, I wasn't ready to play football. I should have took another 3 or 4 months. And it's one big regret that when I look back now, of all the clubs I played for, I don't think the Glenavon fans could probably remember any time where they've turned around and went, wow, he was excellent today, or brilliant, or I remember this about him. And after 4 months, I had a conversation with Gary, and I said, look, Gary, this is not working. It's not fair in the club. These are paying me a good amount of money that these could be using elsewhere. I sat with the chairman, and we ripped up the contract, and we shook hands, and we all remain good friends now. But in terms of the fans, it was a real disappointment of mine that I couldn't show them anywhere near the talent that I possessed.
I think that's just a testimony to the guy that you are, Paddy. You know what I mean. You can openly on a platform like this, share just your downright honesty and brutality of that. So, that's thank you for that. Gareth Mullan, thank you for texting in tonight, Paddy. How much of an influence did Patrick Crawley have on your career as a coach of your junior club in Derry?
Well, he's a great influence. He's still a great influence, a great friend. He's now doing a bit of work for Celtic. Actually, he's a scout for Celtic, living in Scotland. And he was a young coach when I was playing for Trojans in Derry. And now he's just a good person, and as I say, still a good friend to this day.
Paddy, obviously, you've been the creator and certainly finisher of many incredible goals in your time, and since you've been playing. Paul Walsh has texted in something that probably would sort of relate to that. Your unbelievable solo goal against St Mirren away, Paddy. What was your thoughts when you picked the ball up near the halfway line in that moment? Was it to obviously get as high up the pitch as you could, but ultimately the way that transpired from you, it was an incredible goal. Thank you, Walshy, for texting in tonight.
Look, it was when I picked the ball up in them areas, in midfield areas, my first thought was, right, if there's a man in front of me, I'm going to go by him, and then hopefully that eliminates one of their team, and hopefully might create an overload for us. And it was very much in stages. So you go by the first man, and you see another one, you go by him, and eventually you start getting closer to goal, and that's then when you start thinking, right, if I can get by this next boy now, there might be a shot on, or there might be a pass on, and it's something that happens in stages. And I've been fortunate, Brian, that I've scored loads of goals like that. And as I say, when you pick the ball up on the halfway line, it's never your first thought, I'm going to score a goal here, because there's so many players between you and the goal. But as the run progresses and as it starts to take shape, and the visualization in your head starts changing and you get closer to goal, it's only that last maybe man or two that you start thinking that, yeah, I could maybe potentially score here.
Yeah. Lawrence, thanks for texting tonight. Paddy, it was great to see you represent Northern Ireland. How did you feel about playing at Windsor Park and the reaction of playing in front of the home fans?
Thanks, Lawrence. Well, look, I probably answered that question in the previous question. I always really enjoyed playing for Northern Ireland. I was always received brilliantly by the fans, brilliantly by the staff members. And, I went 7 years between my first cap and my second cap, and then I finished at international football at 31. So probably a bit of regret that I didn't have more caps over my career.
Paddy, we touched earlier on in terms of life now for Paddy McCourt, in terms of how how engaging you are, and Obviously, you're heavily involved at Derry, and the improvement that already you guys have made in there, and what you've done in there, and the recruitment and all the rest. Was that something that you always had a desire to go into in terms of coaching, but ultimately the recruitment side of football? And I know you're enjoying it, and we talk regularly about it, but that's obviously something that has been you've grown into over the past 18 months.
Yeah, it's always something that I really want to get involved in, Brian, especially towards the sort of mid to late 20s of my career. I started doing my coaching badges when I was 27. My B license, I'll now hopefully complete my pro license this October. I love being on this side of the fence in terms of coaching. As you touched on the recruitment side of things, my role now at Derry covers a whole lot of aspects of the football club on the football side of things. So, I love the work I go into every day. I love learning. I love improving. I love trying to help young players fulfill their potential. And in the 18, 20 months that I've finished playing football, the amount I've learned already and the amount I continue to learn is unbelievable. So, really, really enjoying that side of it, and really, really looking for a long and hopefully successful career in that side as well.
Yeah, because obviously, what Derry now, and you're doing incredibly well. Progressing, in the journey for Paddy McCourt, is that something that you would, obviously ambitious as you are, to go as high as you can as a coach, and certainly in the sporting director role that you're currently in?
Yeah, definitely. But as I touched on earlier, the team done brilliantly last year. We finished fourth place, but the work we're doing behind the scenes in terms of improving the academy and improving all the structures, the football club has also come on leaps and bounds. So that's very important to me personally, because one day if I leave Derry City or go on somewhere else, or maybe get a manager's role or a bigger role somewhere, I want to be able to look back and go, well, when I first came in, that wasn't there, and that wasn't there, and these weren't doing this. And so it's about building the football club from top to bottom and leaving foundations and structures that are going to be there long after I'm at Derry City.
Yeah, advice to young talent coming through, Paddy, now, in terms of, yes, hard work, hunger, desire, all of that, but what would your advice be specifically to a player, someone like yourself, who has natural ability? Obviously, the amount of coaching now that's going into grassroots is incredible, but for Paddy McCourt, looking back, is there anything specific that you would certainly press into with young talent now coming through with the aim to get into the game full time?
Look, there's absolutely no secret recipe. There's nothing that beats attitude. There's nothing that beats desire, and there's nothing that beats hard work. So it would depend on the individual. I was giving the advice too. You could have 10 16-year-olds going to England, and you would have to tell the 10 and 10 different things, because the obvious stuff is what we just said there: the hard work, the dedication, the attitude. That'll take you far. But when you're dealing with certain individuals, you don't know what background they're coming from. You don't know what personal issues they've struggled with. So when you're giving advice, you have to take in the individual of who you're giving it to, and that's something that I think is very important. And that's why when we are working with youth players here at the club, we really try and individualise what we do with them.
Mm-hmm. Paddy, we'll take this because we'll make this our last question of the night. Obviously, under Mr. Strachan, mate, you had the privilege of working with Tommy Burns, the great late Tommy Burns. 12 years today, actually, that Tommy passed away. What kind of a man was he, Paddy, in terms of, and how had he the influence on the career of Paddy McCourt?
Unfortunately, Brian, I never get to work with Tommy Burns.
Right.
Tommy died 12 years today. I would have signed 12 years on the 20th of June this year. So he had died a month before I signed for Celtic, which was really unfortunate for me, because I know the regard that he was held in, by the football club, by the football world, by the players that were there when I got to the club. And, I would have loved to have been there a year or two earlier and had the experience of working with him, because by all accounts he was a special human being.
Paddy, look, you've been different class tonight, and I really am thankful and grateful for everyone at Experience Epic for taking time out tonight to come on, share about your career, and for certainly we continue to wish you continued success at Derry and further afield in your journey, mate. You're a top man, you know that. All right, mate?
I really appreciate it, Brent. Thanks very much.
That too. Take care, Paddy. God bless you. So, folks, thank you so much indeed for tuning in tonight. As I said, we're back on again on another epic podcast on Monday night, where we have Harry Redknapp joining us for 30 minutes. So please be prepared in terms of pinging your questions. Even what some people have been doing is even emailing their questions, or even pre-show sending me through a text, and ultimately gives us the opportunity to read them out. So thank you very much indeed. Thank you for your engagement tonight. Take care. God bless. See you Monday night.